This is Aurora Xue reading Two Voice. Do you think of yourself as an Armenian, or an American, or a hyphenated American? D.M. Thomas. In what language do I pray? Do I meditate in language? In what language am I trying to speak when I wake from dreams? Do I think of myself as an American, or simply as a woman when I wake? Or do I think of the date and geography I wake into as a woman? Do I think of myself in my clothes getting wet walking in the rain? Do I think velvet, or do I think skin? Am I always conscious of genes and heredity, or merely how to cross my legs and ankle like a New England lady? In a storm, do I think of lightning striking, or white knives dipped into my great-aunt sister's blood? Do I think of my grandfather telling about the election and the time of Teddy Roosevelt's third party and riding with Woodrow Wilson in a Main Street parade in Worcester? Or do I think of my grandmother at Ellis Island, or as an orphan in an Armenian village? Do I think of myself as hyphenated? No, most of the time, even as you, I forget labels. Unless you caught me. Then I look at the blood. It speaks in Armenian. My statement is, a poem is a site of confrontation. The poem as a platform shows the confrontation between two voices from the bottom of the poet's heart, which represent two identities, Armenian or American. The poet is wondering which country she belongs to, the country where she lives now, or the country she belongs in the blood. The poet rapidly used the question form in this poem. In most cases, she can't give a definite answer. The numerous interrogatives reflect the poet's uncertainty and ambivalence, and she attempts to fight against this different opinion. She tried to ask herself from the external way like behavior, such as cross my legs and ankle like a New England lady in stanza 9, an internal way like genes, and the language that flows unconsciously, such as in what language am I trying to speak when I wake from dreams in stanza 3. She tried to identify herself from these aspects, and because all these characteristics as different labels to represent different identity, they also confront with each other. In stanza 6 and 7, do I think of myself in my clothes getting wet walking in the rain? Do I think velvet, or do I think skin? The velvet cloth covers the skin, like a kind of disguise hiding the color of the skin, so people don't know what the real color is. Here, velvet refers to American identity, and skin refers to Armenian identity. When she thinks about whether it is velvet or skin that is wet by the rain, she is actually thinking about what is exposed in the air. In other words, what is exposed to people, that is, which country she is from. The poet asks herself in the form of interrogative sentence, which shows the contradiction in her heart and the confrontation between the two voices. The poet seems to fail to find the answer from herself, so she tries to trace back to her grandparents to find the answer. Therefore, the confrontation happened from her own generation to her grandparents' generation, and the confrontation becomes more and more obvious. In the next few stanzas, the characteristics of American and Armenian are put together. Teddy Roosevelt's third party, Ellis Island, and Worcester are the characteristics of American, and the Armenian village is the place in Armenia. Her grandparents left their mark in both America and Armenia. Here the two voices seem to be fighting with each other, arguing which one can be the so-called label to define her identity. Conflict is accompanied by violence. This poem also contains many bloody and violent dictions such as knives, blood, and cut. These words are associated with pain, which is the way to solve the confrontation between two voices. In conclusion, as a descendant of immigrants, the poet is not sure which country she belongs to. Therefore, she used poetry as the stage of presenting psychological contradictions, and at the end of the confrontation between two voices, the poet gives the answer, no label can really define her.